Hi you guys, it's Tonya, and today I'm going to share with you a process video creating a birthday shaker gift bag featuring products from Die-Namites Dies. We're going to use the heart doily and the birthday cake dies today. I will put links to those down below in the store so that you can easily jump over and grab them. We're going to start out using social envelopes. These are 5 3/4 by 8 3/4, and I want to seal the envelope. Then I'm going to score it on 3 edges, 3/4 of an inch. So the first score line will be at 5 inches. Then I flip the bag over and score it at 5 inches again, just because it's easier for me to hold it in place. And then across one of the short sides, I'm going to also score at 3/4 of an inch, so that I have this nice gusset area here. Now, this is a tutorial that I originally got from a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. However, I want you to know that I am going to do some additional steps to create the shaker portion of the bag, so I wanted to go ahead and include these steps in the tutorial as well. You're going to burnish these score lines really well. It's very important that they're very good and burnished, and I don't know if I show it all on camera or not, but I am going to burnish both sides of the score line. So I'm going to flip it over and do it again on the other side, so they're really good and tight. Then I'm going to cut the bag so that it comes open. So I'm going to cut one of the long sides and 2 of the short sides. And I'm just cutting a sliver of this off. It doesn't have to be much, just a tiny bit to open the bag up. This is going to allow me to die cut with and place my shaker contents in. So you could easily create the same technique with a sheet of paper. It would be super easy to do. I just like that the envelope is easier to work with. Now I'm just going to take some wet glue, and I'm going to glue down those little flaps where the envelope was sealed, just to make sure that everything is a smooth surface. Now I'm going to find placement for my die, and I want to use the side of the envelope that doesn't have any lines or ridges in it. That would be the side that you normally write the address on. I'm going to find placement for my die towards the bottom of the bag, and it's going to be roughly about 1 3/4 to 2 inches above the base of the bag. This will give me plenty of room for adhering my shaker bag to. So I'm just showing you the dimensions of this bag. This is just a clear plastic bag that I had in my stash. Recycled packaging would work. Any sort of bag that's sealed on 3 edges. This one's roughly 4 inches by 6 inches. I'm going to cut it down, so anything you have that's the size of the die that you want to create the shaker part. Now, one thing, if you do not have a bag, you can always sew a bag together or use a Ziploc bag. And so here I'm just adding a little pieces of Mylar confetti that you get from a party store, and a couple of the dies that are the negative pieces from the birthday cake die. I'm adding some glass glitter, and then I'm also going to add to my bag some of the hearts from the heart doily die, and I'll show them to you in just a second. You could easily cut the confetti out using the negative pieces from your dies. Just cut them out of scrap paper, just so that they match your packaging. That's okay. So I'm going to add those straight in there, mix this up really well so that all of my pieces are kind of jumbled up. I just think this is so fun. It's going to be a great interactive piece. So now I want to line my bag up with the base of my cut. Just leave yourself enough room to where you can tape down your project without, or your bag without entering into the space of the die cut. And I'm going to show you there where I'm going to just crease that bag really well, and then I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew it closed, because I'm going to cut all of the bulk from the top. This really isn't a necessary step. I just found that it was a lot cleaner if I cut off some of that excess, because otherwise the confetti would sort of move all the way up to the top of the bag. So just run it across my sewing machine. No big deal, no huge step. If you don't have a sewing machine, you can skip this step, because when you glue the bag down, it will seal it too. So I'm just going to find placement there, and then I'm going to just pull out some of that white pack, or the clear packing tape, and cut off a piece and add it right across the base and the top of my die. This clear packing tape is great because you won't see it. It's very sturdy. It'll also add a little bit of sturdiness to your bag, your gift bag as well. And as you can see, you just tape it across the bottom, and if for some reason you do enter into that negative space at the die cut, you won't see it since it's clear. And again, just do it right there at the top. I got a little bit too deep on that packaging there, so I'm just going to cut another piece off and just make sure that it adhered down really well. Now, a tip is you do kind of want to stay out of the alleys for those gussets where you did your score marks if you can, because the tape isn't scored. So now it's time to start folding all of the pieces and putting them together, and you can see how the bag's coming together. The trickiest part here is getting your gusset on the right where you cut it, to get that to line up again. Again, go with the wet glue, and you just want to kind of line those edges up, not all the way to the end. It's supposed to be a gusset, but just line it up right with the edge, as close to the edge as you can. It doesn't have to be exact. It will hold. I mean, you're not going to put a lot of weight into these bags. Now, I recommend that you do allow this glue to dry before going to the next step. You'll see me sort of fidgeting with it. That's because it's not quite dry yet. But if you use a good, quick, dry glue, then you should be fine. So where the gussets are on the bottom, I just trimmed in on those two pieces there in the center. And then I'm going to fold those tabs in and glue those tabs down to the inside of the bag. For the flaps that are on the back side of the bottom of the bag, I'm just going to trim those across that horizontal line. I'll eventually trim those off, but the front tab needs to go glued to the inside. This is the hardest part of making this bag, is keeping your fingers on everything, because it's so hard to work with at this point. It's just sticking your fingers inside the bag. Now, these two flaps that are here on the outside, I can't hide them in, so I'm just going to trim them off and then glue across the base. Again, just staying as close as I can. Now, you do want to allow this to dry before you mess with it. I'm just folding those gussets in, folding that flap down on the bottom, pressing into it so that the glue has a chance to seal. I recommend laying your bag down and allowing those seams to really dry well. Um, this will help to keep the bag together and to support the weight. So now, to add a little bit of color and interest to my bag, I'm just going to take some tissue paper that matches my card that I created to accompany this, and I'm stuffing that tissue paper down inside. Now, you can fill your bag with, say, some candies, and a gift card would be really cute, or a small item. And then to seal my bag, I just folded it over, and then I've taken this doily that I've spray painted with the Krylon metallic gold spray paint, and I'm just going to use my ATG gun to seal up my bag. I want my bag to be easily opened, and the ATG tape will make it easier for the person I give the bag to open it up and not have to fuss with it so much without ripping it. So I'm just going to fold that over. It's just going to make for a really nice topper. And I decided to go ahead and add a white doily over that because the gold was just a little too bright against my other elements. Now I've taken the scraps from the card that I created and cut a few fishtail banners out. And I'm going to add those there. This way my bag will match my card really nice. The paper that I used for my card and the bag is from the Teresa Collins Nining Company. So I'm just going to add a few layers of the banners. This is just a great way to use up those scraps, and again, making your gift bag match your card. Now, you could also store your card in this bag if you make sure that you allow for the size of the card when you're creating the bag. Now, I had this little loop-de-loop bow sitting on my desk from another project that it didn't make it to, so I'm just going to use it there. It's just some jute twine. And then I made this flower ages ago. It's been on my desk. I think I have a tutorial on my YouTube showing how to make it. These are the Teresa Collins brads. They match the paper collection, so I just snipped off the tips of the brads, and now I'm just going to apply some hot glue, and that's going to be the center of my flower. So everything really matches, and that has some hearts and arrows, I think, in the center of that brad. So as you can see, my little shaker box is full of fun. and matches my card perfectly. So again, if you've enjoyed this, please go check out the blog post to see detailed photos of both projects and to get links to the dies. And these were all from Die-Namites dies, fantastic dies, and I just love how that negative space is being used there as the shaker bag. So again, if you enjoyed this video, please thumbs up and share it with a friend.